started today as they came rolling along easily and smoothly in unison, and the green flag flickered and the race was on.
It's time for race number 20 in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Heat Series Season 2, and it's the final round of the round of 12, the Fix Auto 250 from the virtual Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama. Hello everyone and welcome to our coverage on Facebook Live. Jordy Carraher here alongside Mark Cox, and MC, it's another elimination night and it's sure to be a doozy.
Yeah, another elimination night. And there's some big drivers that are on the cusp of not making it into the next round of the playoffs. So that'll be a big talking point here tonight, as well as just the racing in general.
Yeah, and speaking of big talking points, our driver currently in third place in the standings, the number 64 of Darcy Ford. He's not going to be racing here tonight, but it's for the absolute best reason. He's become a father for the first time today. So our heartfelt congratulations to Darcy, his wife Stephanie, and grandfather, also friend of the series, Michael McCarville of Stuart Haas Racing, as we take a look at the picture here, or maybe we won't take a look at the post, but certainly a friend of the series there. And again, good to hear that everyone is in good spirits, and hard to beat the feeling of having a new child.
Yeah, it's really hard to beat that, but there shouldn't be any worries for Darcy not making it into the next round of the playoffs. So that'll obviously be a big help later on.
And the other thing about Darcy, he's also leading our Fix Auto Cup standings after 4 of 6 races. This is race number 5 in that season-long series, and he enjoys a significant advantage of 16 points over second place Ty Higginbotham, with series leader Scott Bailey just a couple points behind, and certainly some interesting results at these Fix Auto races over the course of the season.
Oh yeah, some very interesting results in these Fix Auto Cup races, although there's so many and they're so long ago, I can't really remember all of them. But I'll have to look back later on just to see what happened.
Yeah, a lot of things have happened since our last Fix Auto Cup race. We've been fixated upon a lot of other things, namely our playoff races, namely the Croc Device Company 200 last week at the Charlotte Roval, as we take a look at those results. And for the 6th time this season, it was the number 11 Midwest Elite E-Racing Ford of Scott Bailey who wound up taking the checkered flag.
So yeah, Scott Bailey had a really good race last week out, and to say the least, I think he's very happy with it and very happy to be moving on into the next round of the playoffs without a lot to worry about.
Indeed not, and I mean, not that he would have had a whole lot to worry about anyway, but just nice to secure that spot. And we chatted with Scott along with second place John Peden and third place Corbin McCauley in last week's post-race interview. Have a quick listen.
Yeah, it's a huge relief. I knew tonight was probably going to be my best shot at gaining valuable points, and to possibly get a win. I have a lot of experience at Auto Club, and it's very similar to Kansas, and just the wide turns and drafting straightaways. So, yeah, it's huge.
I knew my strategy would probably be a little bit different. I knew my strategy would probably be a little bit different than everybody else because I really wasn't racing for stage wins or stage points. I was strictly trying to get myself in position to be able to contend for the win. I know how treacherous it is around this track, so if you're stuck back in traffic, you can really lose a lot of ground quickly. So that was my strategy, trying to pit in the middle of stages to be able to be up front when it mattered. And overall, I mean, it was a really good race. There was probably 5 or 6 of us that all could run the same pace, and it was fun to battle. I just was able to not make any big mistakes and bring it home first.
I really couldn't tell you one thing, kind of like Scott said. I just certain tracks. I was telling Marini this earlier that I've never seen a league where when we go to a road course, there's a different car that's the car to beat. Like going back to Canadian Tire, you had Marini. He's won twice there. Road America, I won. Bailey was the car to beat tonight, and Corbin got the win at Sonoma. So it's just so many different talented people here in this league. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, it's certainly good to be back in the position I am right now compared to last week. Last week was a race I'd like to forget about, especially in the playoffs. But to be back in third place is it's a great thing because, and like basically what they were mentioning, Scott was mentioning, he wasn't going for any stage points and all that. I was doing the complete opposite. I was trying to get as many stage points as possible because I knew how close of a battle it is for 8th place in the playoffs. So getting those extra stage points as well as coming home P3, it's a really good result because I feel like the points, obviously they're really close. So, and not to mention we're also going into Talladega next week, and Talladega is very unpredictable. So yeah, all in all, P3, good finish, way better than I did last week.
And gotta love the beauty of technical difficulties sometimes. We apologize for the slight delay in getting you that video, but certainly interesting to hear some of those comments from our top 3 from last week. And as mentioned, not that it was going to be a huge surprise anyway, but the number 11 of Scott Bailey officially clinches his place in the round of 8 as we take a closer look here at our round of 12 with, a couple of good battles that could shape up here tonight.
Yeah, a lot of good battles, actually. A driver that really interests me tonight is Andy Hurdle, and watching just how much progress he'll make in tonight's race. Obviously, we don't have the qualifying positions just yet, but really, tonight can be anyone's race.
And we'll get into all that here in just a moment because Talladega truly is its own beast. But there you see on the bubble, Jacob Nelson is the man kind of in that vulnerable spot right now. 9-point cushion between himself and 9th place Jose Mercado, who is just going to drive the absolute wheels off the number 41 Stars and Stripes Racing Ford.
Yeah, starting on the back foot, just a little bit here for Jose. He really has a bit in his teeth to really get a good result out of this tonight if he wants to keep his playoff hopes alive. And if we know anything about Jose, once he gets that head of steam, he's just rolling.
Absolutely we do, as we move along now to the Best of the Rest competition, and for the first time since we started it, we've got a new leader in the form of the number 25 North Star Racing Chevy of Chase Beatty. He's 1 point up on Lee Campbell, with Michael Dimitrov, our previous leader, a further 1 point back. So just 2 points separating the top 3.
Yeah, and you saw it last week. They all finished right behind one another, and it was just incredible to watch these drivers just really duke it out on track. And Chase had an amazing race last week out, and it's just great that he's gotten all these internet demons out of the way.
Absolutely. Again, I think we've said it a couple of times. He absolutely could have been a playoff driver. If not for that, certainly good to see it bearing out here as we take a look at our Rookie of the Year standings. And now John Peden has an 80-point lead on that front over second place Matthew Paytak. And those two, they've been battling for the majority of the season, but it looks like the 53 is really starting to get that separation now.
Yeah, John Peden has had a lot of great consistency throughout the later stages of the season, it has to be said. I think it was really since the All-Star race where he really kind of came through in our series and really found his footing. And you could see it with 80 points ahead on Matthew Paytak. That's a steep hill to climb for Matthew.
And that's certainly helped out Cobra Kai Racing on the team side of things as well. Their lead's now up to 114 with just 5 races to go.
Yeah, and Jonathan Peden with Cobra Kai Racing, all 3 of those drivers actually have just been pouring in all the points whenever they need them. They're there to get them, and you could see it. Cobra Kai is really starting to take it away.
And certainly they are, but still 5 races to go, and things could change once again between now and then, and we're just about set to find out how things could change tonight, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. But on the other side, we are going to take a closer look at this beast that is Talladega Superspeedway. So stay with us as our coverage of the Fix Auto 250 continues right here on the Canadian E-Motorsports Network. And welcome back to our coverage of the Fix Auto 250 here at Talladega Superspeedway. And as mentioned off the top, Darcy Ford becoming a dad is arguably the biggest story here of the evening. And we mentioned that friend of the series, Michael McCarville, had a nice post on Facebook about that. And indeed, here it is. Great to see the utter joy in the man's face, and certainly a great conversation as well.
Yeah, very much so. And congratulations, Darcy, on having your child. Big step in life, and I wish you all the best.
And I'm sure we'll see him next week at Richmond, but much deservedly, and it's the correct thing to do to be taking the evening off here. And it's going to be an interesting challenge for the rest of the field here as we take a closer look at this track. It's obviously a big night, big straightaways, big banking on the turns, big stakes. It could well produce some big accidents along the way. There's only one spot you can really claim that to happen. It's Talladega. Let's go.
Yeah, so Talladega, it's a 2.66 mile, 4.281 kilometer track, slightly bigger than Daytona. You have a little bit more space to work with. As you can see, you can possibly fit 4 cars, 4 wide, into some of these corners. I wouldn't recommend it, though. It's a little bit dangerous to do that, as going into the NASCAR corners, it does tighten up. And an interesting feature about this track is that the start-finish straight isn't actually in the middle of the track. like Daytona, it's off-centered just a little bit, so drivers will have to go further into the start-finish straight. But as you can see here, just massive speeds. The important part about tonight is maintaining your draft within that car ahead of you. You could see just staying right on the bumper is going to be very key for a lot of the drivers, because if you lose out on the draft, you are basically out of the race. So finding your pit group, finding a drafting partner tonight will be very, very important. As you can see, like, you could check up here and cause that big accident that we've been talking about. It's just Talladega, basically just flat out running all night. A good lap time for pole position would probably be around a 47-second lap. It's very, very fast. Like I said, it's just an incredible track. I have no other words to really say about it. It's going to be a very hectic night. A lot of different pitch strategies, as we've seen throughout the last few races. And here we come up to the line. Just managing to stay in that group is going to be very important all night long.
A night where literally anybody can win. A night where a lot is at stake for especially 10 of our drivers. And let's not waste too much more time talking about it. Let's just get straight to it here, as we're going to go now to the Star Spangled Banner and O Canada, followed by the 4 most famous words in racing.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal. Drivers, start your engines!
Well, we told you anything could happen at Talladega Superspeedway. You wanted proof? Take a look at our front row. On pole tonight, with a time of 46.592 seconds, is the number 29 of Jonathan Ward, the True North Race and Toyota driver from Saugerties, New York.
Yeah, and I know Jonathan Ward has been a part of our series since the beginning of Season 2, so he was really looking forward to a good start, good season at Daytona, but unfortunately that didn't really happen. Maybe tonight is the redemption for him.
Indeed, second at Daytona to start the season, but the wheels kind of fell off, so to speak, after that. Joining him on the front row, the number 19 Winston Racing Group Toyota of Michael Dimitrov out of Stratford, PEI.
So that's two non-playoff drivers on the front row, which is incredible. I know these boys have been working so hard all season long to get themselves in fighting position, and tonight they gave themselves that opportunity.
Well, we talk about the front row being non-playoff drivers. Don't worry, we've got a string of them coming here now, and we'll just buzz through them quickly as we get to the green flag here shortly. It begins with the number 77 Cobra Kai Racing Ford of Reggie Kime starting in third. Alongside him, and Kime very much on the outside looking in on the playoff picture right now, comes into tonight 11th, needing a big night, and starting third helps. Alongside him on the front row, winner at Canadian Tire earlier this year, the True North Racing Toyota of Mike Marini out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. On row 3, we have, I had noted him as a playoff driver, but he got eliminated in the round of 16, that being the number 21 of Matthew Paytak, the Midwest Elite E-Racing Ford out of Vandalia, Ohio. Alongside him on row 3, winner at Road America a few weeks ago, along with Kentucky a few weeks before that, the number 53 Cobra Kai Racing Chevy of John Peden out of Pensacola, Florida, so that Rookie of the Year battle continues. On to row 4 now, we have the number 23 of Ryan Gibson, the defending Earl Ross Cup champion, starting in 7th in his Cobra Kai Racing Chevy out of Morgantown, West Virginia. Alongside him, the man very much in the driver's seat for this year's championship to this point, the number 11 Midwest Elite Racing Ford of Scott Bailey out of Allendale, Michigan. He's starting in 8th. We look to row 5 now, where we find the number 10 of Jason Butler starting in 9th place with sponsorship from Rampage Coffee Company, Chuck's Roadhouse, and his new sponsor, Bangarang Hard Seltzer. So that's a new addition here for Butler tonight, and it's a little bit of backwards world here tonight. 10 starts 9th, 9 starts 10th, that being the Red Dirt Racing Chevy of Jacob Nelson out of Clarksville, Tennessee, winner in Michigan earlier this year, and the man on the bubble right now. Looking to the rest of our playoff drivers, of course, we mentioned off the top Darcy Ford not competing tonight, so we're just looking for a few more names here as we work to get everything up and running here on our side of things as well. Starting in 11th place is the number 41 Stars and Stripes Racing Ford of Jose Mercado out of Pensacola, Florida, Kissimmee, Florida. And alongside him on row number 6, another guy just like Mercado who needs a good performance tonight if he wants to move on in the playoff picture, the number 7 Midwest Elite Racing Ford of Michael Wolford out of Kindy, Michigan. And again, just going through the rest of our playoff drivers here, the number 97 Stars and Stripes Racing Toyota of Ty Higginbotham. He'll start 14th, but he's already through to the round of 8 by virtue of his win a couple weeks ago. Starting in 17th tonight is the number 17, that being Corbin McCauley, the Red Dirt Racing Chevy out of Charlottetown, PEI. And a late development here as we work to get the number 44 of Andy Hurdle back onto the grid. Right now, he'd be starting at the back, but there could potentially be a connection issue that derails his chances. Although that said, I think I see the 44 on the track, so I think we've made it. And we've made it just in time to hit the green flag as tonight's Fix Auto 250 is now officially underway. I don't know how we pulled that off, MC, but we did it.
Yeah, and you see here Jonathan Ward gets a very good start off the line with Mike Marini right behind him, bearing down hard. And we know Mike is pretty fast on super speedways.
Yeah, a couple of True North guys, 1-2 here in the very, very beginning here. 94 laps in tonight's race, 28 competitive laps because they burned one for the pace lap while we went live. So 28 competitive laps in stage 1, 27 in stage number 2, and somewhere in the low to mid 30s for stage number 3, somewhere around 32, 33, somewhere in that ballpark. Fuel lasting about 19 laps, so we're guaranteed 1 green flag pit stop per stage.
Yes, we are, and the strategy is very interesting. As we found out, the undercut is very powerful here. So maybe perhaps getting ahead of your competitors into the pits and just getting way ahead of them once they make their pit stops will be a very key thing tonight.
And War continues to lead them around as they're now on lap number 3 of this 29-lap stage. And it looks like a relatively single file forming, at least it was kind of on that bottom line, but it looks like it's kind of spread out into a double line, more accustomed to what we're seeing on these pack racing super speedway tracks.
Yeah, and we could see here the True North drivers are working really well together, both Mike Marini and Jonathan War right on their bumper, so that's some good team play there.
Yeah, that's 3 Toyotas at the top. Michael Dimitrov third in that line, still hanging around for Winston Racing Group, although Reggie Kime's at the head of that secondary line. And speaking of Reggie Kime, he's one of the 4 drivers currently at risk of being eliminated tonight, as we'll keep you updated on that the entire way through, as you'll see this ticker at the top of the screen. You've got the real-time tracker of the points there. And again, that's just for the drivers who are positioned 9 through 12 as of right now. And what you'll see there on the screen is the gap between themselves and what they need in order to ultimately make themselves safe. So again, Jose Mercado enters 9 points back of the final spot. Andy Hurdle 16 back. Reggie Kime, who you saw up there, he was leading that secondary line. He's 32 out right now. And Michael Wolford in the number 7, he's got a even bigger hill to climb. He's 41 back right now.
Yeah, so big hill to climb for Michael Wolford, but, you know, a win could really shake some things up.
Well, a win would absolutely shake some things up, and that's why I think you're seeing the number 9 of Jacob Nelson trying to get to the head of the field relatively quickly here, because he's the man on the bubble, and if one of the guys happens to win behind him, that eliminates him.
Yeah, and Jacob had a real fine form of racing earlier on in the season, and he just was on a tear for a long time. It kind of seemed like he was going to be hard to stop, but here tonight he looks to be in that same form.
Yeah, model of consistency there in the mid part of the regular season, certainly highlighted by that win at Michigan that we talked about a little bit earlier. As we're watching the number 19 Winston Racing Group Toyota of Michael Dimitrov, third in the best of the rest standings, third overall in tonight's race so far. And there you see them still kind of adopting single file. Matthew Paytak maybe trying to get to the outside a little bit, but ultimately he'll slot in behind Reggie Kime there in the background, and that's who we're going to follow right now. The number 77, currently 11th in the driver's standings, and looking at the screen here, I've got him pegged around 9th on track.
Yeah, so it's a great he fell down a bit, but still a great start for Reggie Kime, although he's going to want to sneak in there to the bottom lane where the rest of the drivers are on. And one thing I was mentioning at the beginning, the draft is very important here. I know we thought it was going to be a low draft package, but instead we are changing it to the normal draft package. So it might change a few things up just a little bit in terms of the power of the draft and how it works, but that's all technical stuff in the game that I'm not too familiar with. So it'll be interesting to see how much longer these drivers are going to be able to race this closely on track.
And it looks like Kime's kind of fallen down the field a little bit further. Here's it looks like Trent Nielsen's actually gotten a pretty good start, as has Michael Robinson, a couple of guys we haven't really talked about much this year. But again, Talladega is a track where anything can happen, and as we've seen over the last season and a half, the results may not necessarily have been there in other places, but Trent Nielsen on a super speedway, he's there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we could see Trent has made up some places there. And, yeah, super speedways for Trent is like a hot knife through butter. So just keep an eye on Trent. He might be making some big moves later on. He did miss out on the playoffs, but I don't think that's dampening his spirits at all.
Indeed not. As we continue our way through the field, we're actually going to get back to at least close to the head of the field as we're with Mike Marini here running in second place in his True North Racing Toyota. Still tucked in behind his teammate Jonathan War. So some good driving from the True North guys here so far in the opening 6 or 7 laps.
I would probably say that these two guys are probably playing the long run.
Oh, contact between the two teammates. That may have been the broadcaster's jinx there. Ooh. So may warrant a bit of an apology on that front, unfortunately, but it looks like no harm, no foul right now as Marini's right on the back bumper once again of that number 29.
I know if you are the following car, exiting out of turn 2.
Oh, as we see War go high.
Ooh, he might just be letting his teammate pass there, or he might have another issue going on in the car. But I know coming out of turn 2, if you're the car following, it's very hard to keep your car stable. The car tends to just want to get really loose and oversteer you into the barrier on the left-hand side. So there might be some tire wear issues going on, but it may be a little too early for that just yet.
Yeah, a little premature here from some of our testing that we did privately, but we do know the end result is Mike Marini is your new race leader. Michael Dimitrov still running in second place. Jacob Nelson there in third. John Peden running fourth, and that's Jose Mercado in the top fifth, and he's a guy who needs some points. Unfortunately, the guy he's chasing is a couple spots ahead of him.
Yeah, and in Jacob Nelson, I know he's really good at fast tracks. Once you give Jacob some space to work with, he can really be flying out there. And it's certainly a tough opponent with Jacob in Jose to beat. So it'll be very difficult for Jose to get past here early. He might want to look for a later move or something other than that.
Right you are here as, again, Marini continues to lead. We'll shuffle a little bit further down the field where we find Matthew Paytak. He's got his teammate Michael Wolford tucked in behind him. And looking at where they are right now, looks like they've got Reggie Kime just ahead there as well. Looks like that's about middle of the pack. We don't have the streams up just yet, but we're going to put Paytak in around 12th or 13th right now, as I say, middle of the pack.
Yeah, and another driver who's having a really good race just ahead of that pair there is Michael Robinson, just ahead of Reggie Kime even, behind Corbin McCauley. I know he's kind of been looking for some form as of late in this season, just hasn't had the start that he wanted, but doing an excellent job here tonight.
Indeed, he has been in that Blue Lobster Atlantic Motorsports Ford. As we move now to John Peden, who is up in 4th place right now. And again, winner a few weeks ago at Road America, feeling fairly comfortable overall about moving into the round of 8, particularly with Darcy Ford not driving here tonight. That just opens up another place effectively for him to feel just that little bit more secure.
Yeah, for sure. And I wouldn't even say that he needs to feel overly secure right now. He's a pretty strong driver, and the tracks that we have coming up, I really think play to some of his strong suits. So he might be playing that long game that Scott played last week, not really looking for those stage wins, more or less looking for some good stage points, first or second, third, fourth, still really good for stage points. Playing a bit of that mature game, I would say.
Yeah, that's totally a fair point on your part there, MC, as we'll move along now to the number 23 of Ryan Gibson, who looks like he's tucked in right about 7th place right now, tucked in behind Jason Butler.
So there we have 3 Chevys in a row there, right from Jason Butler onwards to Corbin McCauley. That's a good train going. I don't know Ryan Gibson. I know the other drivers, the more experienced drivers, the veterans, will be playing that long game that Scott did last week. An absolute masterclass on Scott's behalf to just maintain composure and just drive a race and not really have to worry about stage wins. That was just incredible to hear when I was doing the post-race interviews with them after the race.
Yeah, certainly something to be said for just having that composure. Obviously, it helps to have 5 victories and a load of playoff points
yeah, it does.
on top of it. But what's another 5 or 6 playoff points to add on top with, again, another victory for good measure. And speaking of, here he is, our reigning series leader, tucked in behind Ty Higginbotham right now, the other round of 12 stage winner. He's got his two Midwest Elite teammates just on the other side of Higginbotham there, they a little bit further down the field, somewhere in the late teens, somewhere in that ballpark.
I would say so, and I wouldn't even necessarily put him in any risk right now. He's got Ty Higginbotham right in front of him, so that'll be a good drafting partner, as Ty does have pace on the super speedways. So we'll have to keep an eye on that battle and see what happens with them.
Indeed, having both of this round's winners together, that is the very definition of no risk, I would think.
Yeah,
as
for
again,
sure.
They've both got their spots very much secured for the round of 8 beginning next week at Richmond. Then we head to Homestead, Miami. Then it's off to the little paperclip at Martinsville to finalize our championship 4.
So Corbin McCauley won at Martinsville, right?
He did.
So if he can make his way through this into the round of 8, that might be a great opportunity for Corbin to pick up the win that he's been looking for in the playoffs.
Should be noted he also won at Richmond in last year's playoffs as well, and that's next week.
He did. So 2 tracks actually coming up for him that could be good potentially.
Very much so. As we check in on Jason Butler here once again, it looks like he's slotted up into 7th place here by the looks of things, still tucked in behind Jose Mercado with Ryan Gibson just behind him, and that would put Butler in 6th, as a matter of fact. My apologies there to the number 10.
So some very clean racing going on so far. Nothing really to report as in major accidents-wise. A lot of drivers just finding their groove. We see this pack racing is just incredible to watch. Jose might need to pick up some ground here as he looks to be just outside of... I want to say it's Jonathan Peden there. So if Jose wants to catch up with that group, he might need to find a little bit more pace in the car. But otherwise, very clean racing so far. Drivers finding their lanes, finding their lines they need to be driving. Ryan Gibson going down just below the yellow line there, not making a pass, so perfectly legal.
Absolutely, as we, again, see Butler just navigating his way through the turn nice and smooth there. We know he had a couple of things with that toward the end of the regular season that I think may have cost him a playoff spot, as a matter of fact, as we've got, I believe, 12 laps remaining in this opening stage, so a little over halfway, and we should realistically be getting into that pit window now, as, again, we talked about it a little bit earlier, 19 laps for a tank of fuel around here.
Yeah, so 19 laps for a tank of fuel, so I would probably say in the next lap or two, as we just saw on, who was that stream we were watching there? Kevin Daggle's stream said he had 3 laps of fuel remaining in his tank by the looks of it. So pit stops coming any time now, I would say.
Indeed so, and it'll just be a matter of who decides to pit with whom and when, really.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit earlier. We were thinking maybe we'd see a little bit more of an undercut, and split the stage kind of in half. Doesn't really look like anybody's done that.
No, not just yet. When I tried that actually in my testing, splitting the stage in half only sort of kind of worked. I know that seems kind of counterintuitive, but it worked, but it didn't really work out to the best potential that it could have. We do have a nice line of manufacturers here, actually. So we have 2 Toyotas, 2 Chevys. This may end up being a race of fuel mileage at the end of it.
Well, we'll just have to see about that again, depending on the length of stage number 3. There could be some interesting strategy coming into play there, no doubt, as it looks like Kevin Daigle actually is pitted from what I'm seeing just on his stream in our little race control box here, I guess you could call it.
Okay, some early takers for pit stops. And that's Andy Hurdle. I'm looking. He's out of this race. By the looks of it on my screen, no wheel action going on.
And so that's a devastating way for his playoff hopes to come to an end here, as he started tonight in 10th, and unfortunately, again, it looks like a disconnection there for the 44 as we're watching Michael Wolford on track. And again, the 44, that is going to knock him out of title contention, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And on my screen here, we also have the leaders in the pits. So Mike Marini has pitted from the lead of the race with that group that he was with. That was Michael Dimitrov, Ryan Gibson. No, not Ryan Gibson. That was just Michael Dimitrov that was with him just then.
Indeed so. And I'm trying to find, is this the number 2 of Dan Cudmore? Not 100% sure what's going on here. Let's just see if we can get a camera angle. Oh, he's just coming out of pit lane. That's what's going on. And a number of drivers are going in, as you see from Ty Higginbotham's camera angle right about now.
Yeah, so very busy pit lane right now as the majority of the field has come into the pits.
Indeed, they have here, Mark, within the last lap or so, as we're going to get back on track now to find Michael Robinson in the number 47 Blue Lobster Atlantic Motorsports Ford. We're just going to do our best here to try and get everything sorted out here on our side of things, as, again, it looks like we're kind of in that window where positions can shake themselves up a little bit. And it looks like Jason Butler, as he emerges from pit lane, we're watching his stream in the studio, he's going to come out in 4th. So this will be, fingers crossed here, this will be his best run in a little while if this holds up.
So I think when Marini pitted, I think it was the group of Jose, Jonathan Peden, and Jacob Nelson that took over the lead of the race, and I just saw on my screen they just made their way into the pits. So that's some movement there.
And so if that holds, Mike Marini would re-inherit the lead of the race, as he's got a 1.6 second gap on Jason Butler on track right now. A couple of Ontario boys there.
So I'm just going to hop over on the Discord there just to see if there are any drivers to still have to pit.
And that number's got to be going down here pretty quick, as we're down to 7 laps remaining in stage number 1. Meanwhile, we're riding with the number 17 Red Dirt Racing Chevy of Corbin McCauley. He's got a little bit of breathing room here in the playoff picture. He's entered tonight 14 points up on the 9th place Jose Mercado in the standings, and McCauley, he had made his way up through the field a little bit there in the beginning. But again, we're just kind of awaiting the pit window here as it just comes to an end. And once we have that, we'll do our best to just make sure we get everything kind of reset here as we are able to watch things a little bit closer here on our streams as we watch Mike Marini stream. He's got 6 laps remaining now, and he's still in 4th place. We're working on getting some updated positioning here as we work our way around the field to find the number 25 of Chase Beatty, the North Star Racing Chevy out of Lawton, Tennessee. And it looks like Beatty, he's come out just ahead of Michael Dimitrov, so that's a relevant battle in terms of the best of the rest standings. And it looks like Jason Butler's actually made a pass on Mike Marini here for 8th place, so I think we are seeing, well, we're seeing a bit of lag for one on either, I think that may have been Jason Butler's stream as a matter of fact. But again, we'll continue our way through the field. Now we get to Chad Hyder, who was eliminated in the round of 16 there a few weeks ago and came awfully close to a win there at Darlington, ultimately finishing 2nd to Darcy Ford. And I believe Mark's just about to hop back on the headset with a bit of an update here for us.
So from what I could gather from the drivers over on the Discord channel was that Jacob Nelson is now in the lead of this race. So the top 3 would be Jacob, Jose Mercado, and Jonathan Peden in the top 3. And then following that would be Matthew Patak, Michael Wolford, and Jonathan War right there.
Indeed, that is the 20, or that actually looks like Ty Higginbotham there, the 97 instead of the 29.
Oh, yes, it is.
A lot of similarly painted cars here as Trent Nielsen goes through. And Nielsen had made his way up the field a little bit in the pre-pit stage of this opening section of the race. But now he's kind of on his own, as is Jason Lobby. Looks like he's kind of lost the draft a little bit in his North Star Racing Chevy out of Coon Rapids, Minnesota.
So yeah, right now I'm watching on my screen. The battle for the lead is really close. The 3 drivers are driving. Oh, there's some action there, but that's not too much to worry about there for Jonathan Peden.
Looks like Hunter Young is actually having a little bit of lag there behind him. It looks like he's kind of darting here, there, and everywhere as we'll work our way around the track. We just saw Trevor Kinsey there a moment ago. Lee Campbell running there just behind him now. The 3 Team Huzzah drivers, as a matter of fact, all running in a line there at the moment, just tucked in behind Ryan Gibson and Dan Cudmore as they make their way onto the back straight.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see once the race plays out and once it's over, it'd be interesting to see just what the team strategy was on that side of things, to see if the drivers on the teams were practicing with each other just to be that little bit of support in the draft.
And now we come to the number 13 of Kevin Daigle as Ryan Gibson runs through the grass. Daigle currently running in 14th place on track, as I think I just missed the Mike Marini lap counter here on our live stream, as it looks like we've actually got a couple of pretty competitive lines going right now at the head of the field. So we're going to get back up to we saw Andy Hurdle disconnected. There's Hunter Young kind of running on his own.
Right here on my screen, I have, this is basically the battle for the lead on my screen. So it's...
we see Dimitrov and War making contact there, excuse me. And War was our pole sitter. Dimitrov on the front row with them. So those two not necessarily exchanging pleasantries on track, as we're going to try and find our lead pack. Is Reggie Kime part of it? He is not at the moment.
So the lead pack right now would be Jacob Nelson, and this is it. So this is basically all the drivers on the lead lap. I would have to say there isn't any driver that's not on the lead lap here. So this is a very big battle for the lead.
Yeah, 9 cars involved in that one, and you have to wonder if you're Matthew Patak and Scott Bailey, you've got Michael Wolford there right with you. Do you try and pull him along to the stage win to try and boost his chances of advancing? We see some contact there, Bailey, and I think that couldn't tell if that was, I think that may have been Jason Butler that he got in tight there with. I think we've actually hit the end of the stage.
Oh, I was wondering about that. Yeah, that was the end of the stage, as we see up there, up on, whose car is that?
It looks like Ty Higginbotham up there up top ahead of Scott Bailey. And we're just going to get our official results. Jacob Nelson does win the stage. Jose Mercado second. And we'll have the rest of the top 10 here in a matter of moments. And we'll tell you how it all shakes out as it relates to the playoff picture in that time. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And we'll have the beginning of stage 2 for you on the other side. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for stage number 2 of tonight's Fix Auto 250, and still trying to sort out some audio issues here by the looks of things. I just realized we're not seeing any levels coming out of the in-game audio anymore, so we're going to go ahead and try and fix that up. Meanwhile, we are with the pole sitter now, Jonathan War, who looks like he's in that high line right now, running about 11th or 12th, somewhere in that ballpark.
Well, there are some cars there that are a couple laps down.
Indeed so.
And Jose looks like he's in the lead of the race right now, just ahead of Jacob Nelson.
And so we will get to the specifics of all that in just a matter of moments here, as I believe we do have our top 10, and I think Mark's heading to the Discord, so I will go through those top 10 here with you from stage number 1. As mentioned, the number 9 Red Dirt Racing Chevy of Jacob Nelson takes home the victory and the additional playoff point, which could be big for him if he happens to move on to the round of 8. Jose Mercado finishes second in the stage, so that's another 9 points there for him. Matthew Paytak comes home third, John Peden in fourth. Michael Wolford rounds out the top 5, some valuable stage points there for him. Mike Marini finishes in 6th after the opening stage, Ty Higginbotham 7th, Jason Butler 8th, Scott Bailey in 9th, and Reggie Kime rounds out the top 10. And we'll take a moment to, again, just get the real-time math in place here for you as it relates to what that means for the playoff picture. And once we do that, we'll pass that along, as I believe MC is going to come back on the mic here in a matter of moments and provide a little bit more context as to what is going on.
So, top 5 as it stands right now is Jose Mercado in the lead of the race, followed by Jacob Nelson in second place, Michael Dimitrov in third place, Jonathan Peden in fourth place, and Mike Marini in fifth, rounding out the top 5. And I will be back again because I just want to get the lap count, or the cars on the lead lap.
Indeed, that's a good call, as we're now on to lap number 4 of this 27-lap second stage here. Again, this is the finale as we look ahead to the round of 8. And again, a valuable playoff point there for Jacob Nelson as he picks up the stage win. And again, we're just doing the math in real time here as we try to sort all this out here for you as it relates to the playoff picture. And so, again, we'll have that information in a matter of moments as we check in on one of those drivers outside the playoff picture right now. The number 77 of Reggie Kime started in third tonight. Is just a little bit further down the field than perhaps he would have liked, but don't be surprised to see him closer to the head of the field toward the end. And as a matter of fact, looks like he's running in 8th place.
So yes, all cars right now are on the lead lap. So as you see them on track, that is their pecking order.
So again, an interesting observation there, and certainly speaks to how the Superspeedway.
Oh, there's a crash!
Pack style racing didn't quite catch that behind.
I think it was a purple car that I saw.
So purple would
Chase
be Chase
Beatty
Beatty in the number 25.
Doesn't look like he got too much damage there. He may have come away with minimal damage, so he's just got to get back on track and make his way back up to the group there. So a scary moment, but no other cars collected in that crash.
Yeah, there was one more there with him, I thought. I wasn't 100% sure on that, but we will get confirmation on that as we go along, as we head back up toward the head of the field where we find Mike Marini in 4th place.
And I do have one disconnection, actually. The number 6 did disconnect.
So I wonder if that was related to what we saw with Chase Beatty a moment ago. Trevor Kinsey would have a white car, so that, or no, he switched back
new
to
car
his,
there.
That was actually his season 1 scheme, the black and blue. This year he went with something a little bit different there with the black and white, but nevertheless, again, Kinsey out of this one, unfortunately. As we continue our way through the field where we find Matthew Paytak running in, I believe, 7th place here.
That white car you may have seen may have been Ty Higginbotham, and I believe that's the number 4. Yeah, it is the number 14 there. So that may have been that little group that got caught up there.
Indeed. So the 14 of
Lee Campbell.
Yes, Lee Campbell, as you say. And
almost called the Lee Diffie. Whoops.
Maybe not. As we move along now to John Peden, who is tucked in comfortably in 4th place right now.
So all the drivers doing a very good job right now in being able to stay in this line. I would have put my money down on there being a crash at the start of stage 2, but luckily that didn't happen, and all the drivers got away clean. I know that is one of the things they've been working on, getting down and getting right. All these drivers working together, trying to get the stage restarts done perfectly and under their belts, and they've been doing a wonderful job so far.
Yeah. There's still time. It's Talladega. Things happen. As we go now to Ryan Gibson, who looks like he's trying to get around the outside of Jonathan Warr. Gibson, just that one victory this year right now at the Daytona night race as he comes through to complete another lap. Looks like he's a little bit further down the field, but Gibson, again, another guy you wouldn't be surprised if you saw him competing at the end.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. There's still a lot of race left here, and I believe that is Corbin McCauley just behind him, too. So 2 big-name drivers there that look like they're a bit behind, but still a lot of racing, like you say, and still a lot of time to go.
Absolutely there is, as we move along now to the number 11 of Scott Bailey, who's tucked in behind the 47 Blue Lobster Atlantic Motorsports Ford of Michael Robinson on track. And let's see, we've got Kevin Daigle 13th, and he's right behind Bailey, so that puts the 11 in 12th. As we see them coming through, I believe that's turn 3 here.
Dan Cudmore's having a very good run here now, too, in stage number 2, just tucked right up behind Trent. And if it's anyone you want to be tucked in behind on a super speedway, it would be Trent.
He's certainly in that short list, to be certain, as we will, again, just try and get everything up to date here. Point-wise, we'll have it for you soon enough. We're just working through some technical difficulties, as you may have imagined over the course of the evening. And again, we're doing our best to just get everything right here. And as that's going on, not 100% sure why this isn't 100% working for me right away, but we'll just go ahead and tell you what the numbers look like right now as we'll move on to Jason Butler, who's running in 14th right now. And MC, we've got a lap count.
17 to go in stage number 2. So
just past the 1/3 point here in this middle stage. And so, again, we'll just run through the numbers here a little bit. So Scott Bailey and Ty Higginbotham both through on the strength of their victories in this round of 12 format. John Peden moves up into 3rd, which was to be expected after Darcy Ford, of course, not racing tonight. So that was kind of a formality, and the 7 stage points helped him on that front. Ford down to 4th right now. Mike Marini is in 5th place. He's jumped ahead of Ryan Gibson, who's 6th. Jacob Nelson jumps up into 7th by virtue of his stage victory. Certainly a timely win there for the 9, as we'll actually go to him here on track, running in 2nd place. And on the bubble right now is his teammate Corbin McCauley in the 17, and that bubble is closed significantly. Jose Mercado just 5 points back of Corbin McCauley now, again with this stage and, of course, the final results to go. So Mercado 5 points out of the playoff picture right now in terms of advancing to the round of 8, but leading the race right now, which would obviously be a cure-all for all of those things. And as mentioned, Andy Hurdle, with the disconnection, his chances are now gone in terms of moving on to the round of 8. Currently 21 points back of that, but we know that total won't be going up at this point. Reggie Kime in 11th, 36 points out, basically in must-win territory, as is Michael Wolford, who's got a 40-point gap to try and fill.
Yes, so some big shoes to fill there at the bottom of the bottom of the playoff standings here. But again, still lots of racing to go. As we have no change in the lead just yet. Like we say, if Jose can get this stage win, that will push some drivers down. So it'll be interesting to see.
Not only the stage win, but of course the playoff spot if he's able to win at the very end. If you recall last year, it was Corbin McCauley's win at Martinsville that pushed Jose Mercado out of the championship 4. So we could be seeing a bit of a reversal of fortunes here if the results hold as they are. Meanwhile, we go to our race leader, Jose Mercado, which basically is just still the same camera shot. Mercado leading, Jacob Nelson second, Michael Dimitrov hanging in there in third, John Peden in fourth, Mike Marini rounds out your top 5, with Matthew Patak hanging around there in sixth, and I see Reggie Kime 8th, Michael Wolford 7th.
And then we have Dan Cudmore 9th there, too.
Indeed we do. Yes, it is. Yeah. That's, again, rather unfortunately painted number 2 Winston Racing Group Toyota, as it looks like Dimitrov running a little bit wide on that straightaway, but he's able to maintain third place.
This would do some real big movement there for Michael Dimitrov if he can hold on to this third place in the best of the rest standings.
Absolutely. Again, 2 points back of Chase Beatty going into tonight, and we saw Beatty get collected in an incident earlier here in stage number 2.
Oh, that looks like it's Michael Dimitrov actually heading into the pits.
And so we can go back here and confirm that. And yeah, based on the changed camera angle, that would indeed indicate the 19 is in. And we'll go back to where we were on track here, which was with our race leader, Jose Mercado. Dimitrov dipping out of third place. John Peden says, thank you very much, and I'll move up. Mike Marini moves up into fourth, with Matt Patak now rounding out the top 5, Wolford in sixth. And this comes on lap number 16 of 27, so a few laps in the difference between when he came in and when he was basically stretching out his full fuel load. As I think we're going to see Reggie Kime coming in here in a second. I thought I saw someone dip below the yellow line. I'll just watch his stream here on our race control computer just to see what's going on, and it looks like he's still on track.
Yeah, I would say in the next maybe 4 or 5 laps, we'll probably get to see some of the pit stops happening. I'll let you know as soon as the leaders dive in there.
And there looks like Dan Cudmore is dipping toward the back of that, or just falling off that lead pack. Perhaps he's coming into pit lane here shortly.
Oh, I think he already came in. I think he came in with Michael Dimitrov is when I saw him come in. So that's some good pit strategy there. He managed to get back in on the leaders. So that's some really good movement.
And that looks like Chase Beatty and Jason Lobby having come into pit lane.
Yeah, that was them there. So pit stops already happening. And there, I think we saw Trent just coming out of the pits too.
Indeed so. And there's, again, Dan Cudmore, who's just reemerged from pit lane in his number 2 Winston Racing Group Toyota. I guess I have to say go Knights in that one, just to kind of throw that out there for him. And now we move on to Ty Higginbotham in the number 97 Stars and Stripes Racing Toyota out of Kansas City, Missouri, of course. Winner a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, winner a couple of weeks ago, so he didn't really have anything to worry about too much tonight. That was at Charlotte, wasn't it, at the Roval?
No, that was Scott Bailey there last week. Good Lord, my memory is absolutely deserting me at the moment as to where these things have happened. Give me round number 4. Come on.
Yeah, I got it. Here, just a second.
Help me out. Help a brother out.
It was... Oh, my goodness. Ty Higginbotham
I know we...
Auto Club.
There it is. There it is also... Well, if you say pit lane, that's where Kevin Daigle is right now as we're watching him on the screen. As it looks like we're going to see this may be where the leaders start to come in. I thought I saw a couple dipping below the yellow line on the back straight.
Yeah, that is Jose making a move there by the looks of it.
Looks like Jacob Nelson's actually going to get into pit lane ahead of him, as it looks like indeed our lead pack is onto pit lane. Corbin McCauley getting in there as well.
Jason Butler there with him,
making sure everybody gets in under that 55 mile an hour limit to avoid a speeding penalty. And now you guys can't see the crashing that's happening in pit lane, but that's all quote-unquote normal within this particular game.
Well, those were some fast pit stops there for the leaders who were in the pits. I think they may have only taken right-side tires.
And, yeah, I'm just looking at Mike Marini's pit stop. His was only estimated to be about 6.5 seconds.
Oh, so that is basically just a fuel run for him.
And, I mean, we heard the guys talking about, as we see, well, we're watching Beatty and Lobby here right now. Not 100% sure what's...
I was looking up there on the right-hand side. It looked like Peden and Jose were very close coming out of the pits, and I know the car doesn't give you control until you're past that line, so I think that was kind of a game glitch there that I was seeing.
Meanwhile, we're watching the number 37 Team Huzzah Ford of Chad Hyder here right now on track. And again, it looks like he's kind of running on his own right now, but, you know, this could, again, just be the byproduct of, you know, pit stops and people just not back together in that pack as of yet.
And I'm just going to hop over on the Discord there just to see who the leaders are right now.
And I can tell you Reggie Kimes pitting from third place, and looks like, again, we're going to have another change in the lead right now with 7 laps to go in stage number 2. And we're just making our way through the field here, trying to get back to the lead battle. But right now, we're just watching Trent Nielsen make his way through, trying to get past Chad Hyder here on your screen. Right on the back of him, Lee Campbell there in that higher lane as well. And again, we'll just continue our trek through the field as we confirm where everybody is on track, and we'll just probably take a lap or two to get everyone back up to speed here as we're just going to watch this battle with Beatty and Jason Lobby here once again. Those two pitted together, and they're still battling on track, so it certainly stands to reason as they motor past Scott Bailey, who's just on his out lap following his pit stop. Now, as we, again, come to the disconnected Trevor Kinsey, back on track now with Lee Campbell, as Mike Marini is making up some positions rather quickly. He's just jumped up into 4th as we see him on our race control stream here in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network studios. And it looks like I'm going to take a wild stab here and say Jose Mercado's gotten back into the lead, but we're getting some official confirmation here on the other side as we'll have a lap count momentarily. And that lap count now is 5 to go in stage number 2. So we're just going to continue cycling through the field here as we watch Kevin Daigle running in 10th place. So the number 13 turning in a pretty good run in that True North Racing Toyota.
Yeah, right now it looks like Kevin Daigle has some massive speed there. He just got to slot in right behind Jason Butler if he doesn't want to lose out on this too much. But I have a top 5 here. So it didn't really change too much from where it last was. Jose is still your leader. Then it follows with Jacob Nelson in 2nd, Jonathan Peden in 3rd, Mike Marini in 4th, and Michael Wolford in 5th. So the 5 that I'm watching on screen is your top 5.
Meanwhile, I think our pole sitter actually has experienced a disconnection as well, as that looks like Jonathan War may be out of this one. So we'll get back on track now as we find Michael Dimitrov kind of in no man's land. It looks like he's got the leaders bearing down on him, though.
So he might lose this lap any minute now once the leaders get past him. But, again, we have to say there's still lots of racing to go, so we will have to see what happens at the end of this race.
And it'll be 3 laps remaining once the leaders cross the line in this second stage, and it is Jose Mercado still leading, as we see Reggie Kime and Matthew Patak trying to get back to that lead pack. That would put the number 77 in 6th, knowing that he's got to catch a couple of cars there and probably pick up the race win if he wants to move on to the round of 8.
Yeah, so it's a big task here now for both Reggie Kime and Michael Wolford, again, both needing wins if they're going to want to advance.
And there you see just how that lead pack absolutely swallowed up Michael Dimitrov, who's at the head of it right now. But again, Jose Mercado is officially your race leader. Yeah. Dimitrov set to go a lap down.
And you know what? Oh, I was just about to say, if Dimitrov can hold on to this and make it to the flag in front of the leaders, he will get his lap back.
And so certainly something to race for here for the 19 as well, as we're getting a pretty good battle of this lead pack, courtesy of the 12 of Mike Marini, running in 4th place right now, as they've got 2 laps to go in this stage. And it'll be 1 as they get to the line in probably 20 to 25 seconds, somewhere in that ballpark. Meanwhile, Jose Mercado actually looks like he's trying to take advantage of a Dimitrov draft, but it looks like the leaders are just going to, or secondary group is just going to swallow him right back up.
Very smart thinking there from him there, though, looking for that little bit of a draft to get a bit of a gap going on the rest of that pack there. He does have that draft, and he is right behind the tail of Michael Dimitrov. He's going to pass him.
And, yeah, they're running side by side here. And, again, this would be putting Dimitrov a lap down as we're on to the final lap now of stage number 2. And we're just going to zoom ahead and get it from Jose Mercado's perspective.
Jose better either slot back in or get himself a past Michael Dimitrov if he wants to maintain the lead of this race.
It looks like he's got a little bit of help, though, as it looks like Jacob Nelson has gone up to that high line, as has John Peden. Dimitrov, meanwhile, trying to get a push there from Mike Marini and Michael Wolford. The 3 Mikes working together here. That is a case of Mike and yikes here. As Mercado, it looks like he is just going to hang on as he gets to the line.
Yeah.
He is going to hang on and pick up the stage win. And that's huge for the 41 when he absolutely needed it. He got it as we're on to our final caution here of the evening.
I'm just going to hop over on the Discord just to see if anyone is any bit of a lap down.
And we'll get a sense of that here momentarily as we're just waiting for our top 10 to be finalized. Once we have that, again, we'll do the math in real time to let you know what's going on, if things are tightening up here at all, and if there's any change in the board. Certainly Jose Mercado making his case here with the stage win. And we'll see how it all unfolds in a matter of moments as stage 3 is just around the corner.
Can I get a sense of drivers who are a lap down, please?
And we're just going to stay with you live as we wait to see what everyone's doing here. And we're going to go back on track there as we saw Jonathan War disconnected. And so, yeah, we're just working through our real-time math here in the studio. Meanwhile, the third and final stage of tonight's Fix Auto 250 at Talladega is officially underway. And Michael Dimitrov, it looks like he's gotten out toward the back of this pack here in the restart. So we'll try and go back up a little further where we'll find the 77 of Reggie Kime, and we'll see if we can get a lap count here momentarily whenever the drivers come across the start-finish line. Again, we're looking somewhere in the low 30s here, 32, 33 once we account for caution laps. And again, we're just waiting for the drivers to cross the line here, and we'll give you an official sense of that.
So it's, yeah. I was going to say it's 2 Florida boys and 1 2 right now.
Indeed so. And so as they cross the line, let's get our number, and we're going to find out that there's 31 laps to go in tonight's race.
Okay, so 31 racing laps left here right now. So still 1 more green flag pit stop, of course. Maybe even 2 if a driver wants to spice things up just a little bit.
Yeah, I think you'd be kind of cutting it a little close. Meanwhile, speaking of cutting, it looked like Trent Nielsen may have cut onto that lower part of the back straightaway, as did Dan Cudmore, as we're watching Reggie Kime, who's very much in must-win territory here now. And again, we're just sorting out the math as it relates to the playoff picture. And as you do that, I think you have the top 10 from stage 2 there, MC. Fire away, good sir.
So, as we saw, it was Jose who came out with the win in stage 2, followed by Jacob Nelson in P2. Then we have Jonathan Peden in 3rd place. Then we have Michael Wolford in 4th. Mike Marini comes home in 5th. Reggie Kime comes home in 6th. Matthew Patak in 7th. Ryan Gibson in 8th. Jason Butler in 9th. And Kevin Daigle in 10th.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got some movement. Jose Mercado moves up back into the playoff picture. Corbin McCauley is now outside of the picture, 5 points back of the number 41 for that final playoff spot. As we mentioned earlier, a bit of a reversal of fortune in play here potentially, as, again, it was Corbin McCauley's win at Martinsville last season that eliminated Jose Mercado from Championship 4 contention. Mercado might be able to get a little bit of revenge here tonight with a win and, again, potentially eliminate Corbin McCauley if things hold up as they are right now.
Yeah, he very well could. And Corbin does have to make up some ground here. He's sitting behind the rear wing of Trent Nielsen. So if Corbin wants to maintain his playoff spots, he's going to have to make up some massive ground.
Yeah, 5 points back of Jose Mercado, as mentioned there just a moment ago. And so, again, we'll get everything updated for you here in just a matter of moments, and we'll bring you the updated standings. But, again, that's the big move in relation to the playoff picture here, is that Corbin McCauley is now outside of the playoff picture as it relates to moving on to the round of 8. But otherwise, not really a whole lot of change. Andy Hurdle, 26 points back, but again, we know he got disconnected. Reggie Kime, 36 points out, and Michael Wolford, 38 points back. So those two really in must-win territory here, as we will go ahead and fire up those real-time standings with the drivers at risk.
So Corbin's going to need to get up into, I would say, probably top 5 if he wants to keep his playoff chances alive.
But ultimately, it might not matter if Jose Mercado goes on to win.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the gap a little bit closer, you see Jacob Nelson in 7th. There's 14 points in the difference between those two. So if Mercado wins, then, again, McCauley doesn't really have a huge window there of error. He'll have to hope something goes wrong with the number 9, indeed, his Red Dirt teammate.
Yeah, and you never want to wish anything bad on the on your teammates. So he may just be looking at a need-to-win situation here.
It's winning is kind of a cure for all issues here, as we've got 26 laps to go, as we're on board now with Matthew Patak running in 4th place. He's got that number 9 of Jacob Nelson tucked in right behind him. And Jose Mercado still your leader right now, with, I think that's John Peden we saw in 2nd place, Michael Wolford in 3rd.
So interesting movement here. So Jonathan Peden looks like he has a very fast car, but can't really seem to get past Jose.
Wolford's going to be an interesting one to watch. We just talked about him absolutely needing a win. He's right there.
He is.
If he
right
does
there.
that, he eliminates both Mercado and McCauley in one shot.
Ooh, wouldn't that be interesting? An outside shot making it in. That would be really, really interesting to watch.
Again, as you see on our screens here, Wolford currently in 12th out of our 12 playoff drivers remaining, as we shift the focus now to John Peden in 2nd place. Wolford 38 points out of the final playoff spot, but again, a win would solve all of that and just cause chaos at the bottom of the standings in terms of who moves on and who's out.
Yeah, and Reggie Kime looks like he's making up some ground there too. He's just on the outside there.
Indeed he is.
So we really have a race on our hands right now.
This gonna be good.
It is indeed. What happens if a non-playoff driver ends up winning? I would say in the likes of Patak or Kevin Daigle.
I mean, those things could very much happen, but obviously it would just defer to the regular point standings if that was to come to pass. So, again, really the only way to secure yourself is with a win at this point, and Jose Mercado very much looking to do that in the lead right now. John Peden still second, Michael Wolford in third. And again, Reggie Kime running in 8th place right now. He's very much in that must-win territory. So 1, 3, and 8 really for the drivers who need it. We don't have an official number on the 17, although that may warrant a position check here in the Discord potentially, as again, we try to sort out where everybody is right now. And as a matter of fact, well, I thought it was going to be Macaulay in 7th, but it's actually Mike Marini that I was seeing. So my eyes kind of playing tricks on me on what's admittedly been a long day. As we see Marini go up high, nearly tagging the wall there a moment ago. Meanwhile, Ryan Gibson just kind of running on his own here, having lost the draft. We'll check in on the defending Earl Ross Cup champion in a little bit. But let's get an update.
Corbin was in 17th when I just checked in. So, a lot of ground to make up. He was saying he was always getting left out on the top there and losing out on the draft. So, like I said, the draft is very important here at Talladega.
That would be an all-time drive from the 17 if he's able to figure out a way to get back up to the head of the field. Meanwhile, toward the, middle of this main group here, we'll find our series leader, Scott Bailey, running in 8th place, tucked in behind Reggie Kime. Of course, Bailey, nothing to worry about as he's long since moved on. And as a matter of mathematics, I'll check to see if anyone else is in that category. And we can confirm, actually, that John Peden on math is officially qualified for the round of 8. So that's one less spot there. 5 spots that you're battling for here now. Of course, Darcy Ford not racing tonight, but fairly comfortably set to go to the round of 8 here as well.
So we want to go in and tell John Peden he doesn't need to win this race here tonight?
I mean, if you want to, you can.
No, this is interesting.
Just let him run. Just let him run here, as we're going to run along now to Jason Butler, who is running in 16th. Corbin McCauley trying to push up on that top line. Chad Hyder kind of leading that line right now, and that's what McCauley was alluding to in your recent Discord chat, just kind of getting hung up there on the top, and it's costing him dearly.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't seem like there's too much speed to be had on the top lane. Drivers trying to find it, but the lower side seems to be what's working best. Now, I want to say something here, too. If Corbin wants to have an outside chance of winning this race here tonight, it's going to have to come down into pit stops. Really, right now, either just sending it for a 2-stopper like Red Bull did at France and trying to make something work out of that. But other than that, it's going to have to come down to some awesome pit strategy calling there.
And if he's going to do it, he's got to do it in the next few laps, because we've got 20 remaining in tonight's race. As we go back toward the head of the field, where we find Jacob Nelson in 4th place right now, tucked in behind Michael Wolford, one of those guys who's, again, on the outside looking in right now. Things are going to get very exciting, and I mean, if there's a track where I'm going to really dive into the if you're not first, you're last, tonight's that track, and tonight's absolutely the circumstance. And for leader Jose Mercado and 3rd place Michael Wolford, along with 8th place Reggie Kime, tonight's the night you got to get it done, no question.
Yeah, for sure. And Jose is still hunting for that first win of the season, too. So he's got a lot of beans to play for there, too.
He absolutely does, and we'll have to see what everybody opts to do strategy-wise. We're about roughly 5 to 10 laps, probably, if not a little bit sooner, from seeing everyone kind of effectively play their hand here.
Yeah, really, if you wanted to, you can dive right into the pits right now and be able to make it to the end on fuel. So it might be a bit touch and go for tires, but right now is looking like a better time to pit than any.
Yeah, 32 laps, certainly a longer run here at Talladega on those tires, and you do tend to risk, just heartbreaking chaos, really, as we're down to 18 laps to go. And we check in now on our race leader, Jose Mercado, getting a good push from his fellow Floridian John Peden. Michael Wolford having a little sniff on the outside. But notably, Matthew Patak, well, he was right there, but it looks like he's kind of getting squeezed out on that higher line. He might just pull pull in ahead of his teammate Scott Bailey, and indeed he does. That is for 5th place, I believe, as Kevin Daigle will slot up. Or actually, that was for, he slotted into 6th, so I was off by 1.
7th even.
No, that is P6 for the 21 right now. As the only position Mercado's concerned with right now is P1, which is where he is right now. Again, John Peden 2nd. Michael Wolford in 3rd as we're down to 17 to go.
And they're on Mike Marini's stream there. It looks like in his fuel tank, he has 6 laps of fuel remaining. So what I was going to say, too, is that if you pit it now and just took fuel, there's a possibility you can get faster if you want to pit a second time closer to the end of the race and try to make a 2-stopper work. But that's a very, very, very outside chance of doing that. A lot of these drivers might be looking to elect to take just a full pit stop once that fuel burns down all the way.
Yeah, just kind of get it done, minimize the damage here as Jose Mercado continues to lead. We're halfway through this final stage, 16 to go. It doesn't look like anyone's made a whole lot of moves here yet, but I think you can expect that more to happen in the final 4 to 5 anyway.
Yeah, much like in real NASCAR, you'd be listening to your real-life spotter, and they'd be directing you to start making your moves, I'd say, with 4 laps to go, and that's really when hammer time happens. Much like Lewis Hamilton and Pete Bonington, when he says hammer time, it's time to just put the throttle down and pin it, and just go for it.
And again, for a lot of these drivers looking to secure their playoff spot, hammer time is now.
Hammer time is now. Yeah, just getting a good in-laps if you're going to pit soon.
Yeah, just absolutely get the hammer down. And, I mean, I don't want to risk any copyright suits from MC Hammer, but, like, you want to just say you can't touch this if you're making any kind of adjustments right now. As Mercado, he's looking like he's got it pretty good here right now. Peden having a little bit of a sniff there on that lower line, but nothing overly serious as it gets to 4-lane territory once again, as we'll have 14 laps remaining at the line.
Is that 4 laps of fuel remaining in Marini's car there, I see?
Yeah, that is exactly what you're seeing, meaning that I would say the caution laps now coming into account as we see some drivers dipping a little bit below that yellow line.
I think that's the sign that Jose might be coming in.
He's certainly close within that window. He could come in theoretically at any time, but what I was going to say is obviously stage 3 is where it seems like they factor in the caution laps as here we go. We see, Mercado with the late move, the majority of the field in. Paytack gets kind of squeezed out there. Mercado's going to lead them into pit lane. We are going to stay right here. Let's get a look at who's going to come out first.
I think everyone is in the pits. Oh, wait, no, not everyone.
Those are game glitches, folks.
It looks like everybody's dove into the pit lane there now, I think.
Got to see if we can get an angle on this. And actually, the best angle might come from our pole sitter, Jonathan War, if we can get the right camera. Indeed, we do.
So
Mercado gets out first.
Coming out first.
Yeah, it looks like Mercado's gotten out ahead of that majority of that lead group. Meanwhile, is that a disconnection for... No, there's movement in Paytack's tires. He's still in this one.
So Jose has a massive lead here now over... who is it? Jonathan Peden.
And we'll get right back onto his bumper here as we try and get back to broadcast mode. It's not a massive lead over John Peden.
Not anymore. Those cold tires really take a bit of time to warm up here at Talladega. When I was doing my tests, you would almost be into turn 4 by the time you're really up to speed. Even into turn 1, you're not really up to speed until then.
Indeed not. So we're looking at roughly a 12 to 13 lap sprint here. We'll get the official count momentarily as our drivers come across the line.
Man, I'm nervous.
And this looks like a party of 5 here at the head of the field. Kevin Daigle in there in fourth. The remaining drivers all still very much in the playoff picture as we've got 12 laps to go.
So I said it at the beginning of the season. It's great to be leading all of these laps right now if you're in Jose's shoes, but really the lap that counts is the last lap. And we've seen sometimes before the driver who's been leading the most laps isn't always the driver that wins the race.
You've got that right, and it looks like the driver who's lost out the most here is the number 7 of Michael Wolford, because he was in third place prior to the pit stops. He's not in this lead pack of 5 right now.
No, and Scott Bailey's actually had a stellar race again here. It looks like he's just been sitting back, laying back, incognito, and is up into the top 5 there.
Of course, Bailey the winner at Talladega last season, so it stands to reason that the number 11 would very much be in contention. However, it looks like the 41 of Jose Mercado is still hanging on right now, as we've got 11 laps to go.
Yeah, and he's had a great drafting partner in Jonathan Peden. If I were in Jonathan Peden's shoes, I would probably look to get a move in anytime now.
Well, again, John Peden's officially through to the round of 8, so not a whole lot of urgency necessarily on his part as they cross the line once again. I guess just in the name of trying to grab those playoff points for potential championship 4 positioning now. But really in terms of, again, immediate urgency, not so much for the 53, certainly for the 41 at the head of the field.
Yeah, but what would another victory do? It wouldn't hurt.
Precisely. Again, 5 playoff points at stake there, and those would carry over to our next round when our round of 8 will reset at 4,000 points plus playoff points, as we're now down to 10 laps to go.
So it's a sprint now to the line. I would probably say it would be 4 laps to go would be when the big moves come.
And yeah, we'll have to see how that all works out here, as we're just going to confirm our lap count here. I think we'll be down to 9 momentarily. And indeed, that's where we are, and they're on to the back straight. It'll be 8 at the line for this lead group.
So really heating up here. It's looking to be a 5-car battle.
Yeah, that's certainly how it's looking right now. Again, Kevin Daigle, kind of the outlier there right now, but he's had, some good finishes over the course of the season, including that 3rd at Charlotte. And again, the others around him, they're all very much in the playoff picture still. Again, John Peden and Scott Bailey having moved to the round of 8 already. Speaking of 8, that's how many laps we've got left.
Oh, so it's ticking down real fast now, and it kind of looks like Corbin's chances of making it back into the round of 8 are slipping away.
Indeed they are, and I can tell you Michael Wolford's in that same boat as he's down into 17th now. Again, was running 3rd earlier in the stage. He was one of those guys who needed the win as he came into stage number 3 and 12th. In fact, you can see the numbers on your ticker at the top.
So this secondary battle here actually is really good. It's Mike Marini, the number 97 of Ty Higginbotham, Trent Nielsen's there, Chad Hyder's there, and so is Michael Robinson, who's had a stellar race so far.
And again, maybe not the conventional order that you see, but nothing wrong with having kind of a refreshing view of things as well. As again, you see a couple of different names running in the top 10 tonight.
And that's exactly what these super speedways are here for. It's really just anyone's game. It's wide open racing.
Indeed it is, and Jose Mercado still leading this line. Here at the line, it'll be 6 laps remaining. And so, again, we're looking at this lead group of 5. A couple of them, not really a whole lot to worry about. Kevin Daigle, he's out of the playoff picture right now. Certainly Jacob Nelson would fancy his chances at a win here as they come across the line. It should be 6 laps remaining for them. Mike Marini in that secondary group will get his lap count as he comes across the line. And as he does, his stream will tell us it'll confirm 6 laps to go, 5 at the line for this lead group, and we're going to stay here the rest of the way. as Mercado is still retaining the lead. Peden there second, Jacob Nelson third, Kevin Daigle fourth. Scott Bailey rounds out your top 5. And again, it'll be 5 laps to go at the line. Probably about a lap or 2 away from any potential move that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I would probably say it would be coming any time now.
Because really, at a track like Talladega, with the drafts being what they are, as we hit 5 laps to go now, with the draft being as it is, you probably need at least a lap to kind of consolidate that advantage anyway.
You do. You don't want to do it too early, because if you do it too early, then you may end up risking them catching back up to you. So as close as you can to the end of the race is when you just want to just go for it.
And now, again, we'll have to see if, well, it's more of a pack of 4 right now. Looks like Scott Bailey's just kind of hanging on at the back of it right now. Not really directly in the train, not super far off. But what I'm getting at is if that secondary group finds a way to catch up, can Reggie Kime get back into things, or is it too little too late for the 77?
Ooh,
as we got 4 laps to go.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be too late for anyone, really. I would say it would have to take a big crash.
And I think I actually misread the numbers I was seeing on the screen. Kime currently in 18th. So,
okay.
Yeah, he would need a few things to happen, probably a few disconnections. I think it was Michael Robinson's car that I got it confused with. The blue in the front and the red on the sides.
Oh, yes, that is Michael Robinson's car. They're just tucked in right behind Chad Hyder.
As we stay with this lead group, Mercado still at the head of it, as he has been basically for the entirety of really stage 2 and beyond.
Yeah, and look at Kevin Daigle. He's just peaking. He's been peaking for these last 2 laps now. I think he's looking to try to make a move. If Jacob or Jonathan Peden pull out there, it could give Kevin Daigle an opportunity to just draft right behind them.
And it'll be 2 laps to go at the line for this group as they come around. Jose Mercado still leading the pack. And again, not really a huge concern regarding, tires or fuel at this point, I wouldn't think. As again, Mercado leads from Peden. Jacob Nelson there in third, Daigle fourth, Scott Bailey rounds out your top 5. And as they come to the line, it'll be 2 laps to go here in a matter of seconds. And indeed, here we go. 2 laps remaining. And again, Mercado still holding on to the lead through turn 1. John Peden, again, no real sense of urgency there to try and make a move just yet, although maybe a little bit of shuddering there on the 41, but it's still holding on pretty nicely here on this back straight. And Mercado still holding on to that lead. Again, it's turned into really a borderline dominant performance, and it's come exactly as Jose Mercado's needed it. Knock on wood here, as he's going to see the white flag this time around.
Oh, yeah. There it is. I just saw Kevin Daigle looking there for a move, but I don't think it's going to happen. If a move is going to happen, it's going to happen right now.
And that lead pack of 5 is coming, or they're through the start-finish line now. As a matter of fact, Scott Bailey heading up to that high line.
Oh.
Final lap of tonight's Fix Auto 250. Jose Mercado still in the lead. John Peden second. Jacob Nelson in third. Kevin Daigle fourth. Scott Bailey still there in fifth. Mercado still leading. Bailey having a sniff up the outside. Peden trying to go up the outside here potentially. Now that's going to allow Jacob Nelson to get into second. And Mercado still holding on. He's going to get a bit of a push from Nelson and Daigle on that lower line. And Mercado looking good. Nelson up into second. Peden may have a sniff here high. And it looks like Nelson's falling off. But Jose Mercado, he's done it exactly when he's needed to. It looks like, I shouldn't say it too soon. Now he's done it.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's got his win.
That's another third place for Kevin Daigle as well.
You talk about timing. We talked about it off the top in terms of what the qualifying order looked like. How about timing from Jose Mercado? We've been talking about him, probably borderline bugging him about it over the course of the season. When is that first win going to happen? I think we may have to shut up a little bit now.
I know. Yeah, for sure. That's on merit there, Jose. Great win from you tonight. I'm just going to hop over on the Discord and just congratulate the drivers there.
Man, oh man, what a finish there at the end. But again, just a clinical performance from Jose Mercado as, again, when he absolutely needed to,
Good race.
the man got the job done. And there he is, just making his way around the track. Jacob Nelson comes through in second. Kevin Daigle finishes this one in third. Scott Bailey fourth. John Peden rounds out the top five, as that top five really was racing together for the majority here of the evening, or majority of stage number 3, particularly after the pit stops. And again, we'll just finalize the order here. And again, Mercado moving on to the round of 8. That will effectively cause a bit of a ripple here in the order, and we'll just, again, finalize the numbers. We'll take one last commercial break, as a matter of fact, and we should get some standings momentarily. Matter of fact, we have them, and we will let you know how everything looks on the other side. All right, we're back now as we've just concluded the Fix Auto 250 from the virtual Talladega Superspeedway. And again, I know we talked about it at the very end. We were kind of bugging him about it for a little bit anytime we'd be talking to him. But now, and it seems like it's finally, Jose Mercado finally has his win.
Yeah, finally got that win, and at no better time than now to get it. He was on the outside of the playoff picture looking in, and he just secured his spot into the round of 8.
And another guy who needed the result just to take a little bit of heat off himself, he comes home in second, that being the number 9 Red Dirt Racing Chevy of Jacob Nelson out of Clarksville, Tennessee.
Yes, and Jacob has had a wonderful form earlier in the stages of the season, but now really putting himself out there, and another great race from him.
And coming home in third, again, that's his second third-place finish of the season, the number 13 True North Racing Toyota of Kevin Daigle out of Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Yeah, and Kevin has had an up-and-down season, to say the least, but I have to say that was an excellent performance by him tonight. Super speedways aren't the easiest of tracks all the time, but tonight Kevin really put it in there.
And now finishing in fourth place tonight, the man who's going to reclaim the lead in the standings. Well, I guess he did last week, but with the 4,000-point reset, he'll do it again next week, being the number 11 Midwest LED Racing Ford of Scott Bailey out of Allendale, Michigan.
Yeah, so it was a really incognito for Scott Bailey there tonight, not making too many moves, but he was there when it counted, and that was at the end of the race. So great job for Scott, just cutting his way through the field.
And rounding out the top 5 tonight at Talladega, the Cobra Kai Racing Chevy, the number 53 of John Peden out of Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah, he was Jose's drafting partner all night, but ultimately just losing out there just a little bit, but the margins were so close. I would still put this down as a great finish for John Peden.
Coming home in 6th tonight is the number 12 of Mike Marini, the True North Racing Toyota out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. He's through to the round of 8.
Yeah, and another driver who's been really consistent throughout the season, Mike Marini, always knows where to find consistency and made his pit stops count. He wasn't outside of anything there tonight, and he just had awesome race pace.
Indeed he did. As we move along now to 7th place finisher, easily his best finish of the season, Trent Nielsen in the Atlantic Motorsports Ford Mustang out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. How many times have we talked about him being strong on the super speedways? He proved it again tonight.
Yeah, and like I said, Trent at super speedways is like a hot knife through butter. He just can clean through a field, and it was awesome. I know he's been recovering from back surgery earlier this season, and to put it right there is awesome, and an awesome race there for Trent.
Indeed so, and finishing in 8th place tonight, again, he won a couple of weeks ago at Auto Club, so not really a whole lot for him to worry about. The number 97 Stars and Stripes Racing Toyota of Ty Higginbotham out of Kansas City.
Yeah, so Ty was already into the round of 8 with that win at Auto Club, like we said. But, just sitting back just like Scott Bailey did. But Scott ultimately made the pit stops count where it needed to be. But Ty, an excellent race, and I'm sure he'll have some more success into the round of 8.
And finishing 9th here tonight, the number 37 Team Huzzah Ford Mustang of Chad Hyder. Sponsorship from Racing Roots with Ham, the popular YouTube racing podcast / show, and the U.S. Navy.
So yeah, Chad Hyder, another top 10 for him, really putting it down in the stat book there for him. And you know what? He is still missing out that win like Jose was, but we still have some more races to go before the finale at Las Vegas. So Chad is one of our drivers who's been in our series and is still winless, but by all means, he's one of our top-tier drivers.
Indeed he is, and rounding out that top 10, another candidate for his best finish of the season, another Atlantic Motorsports Ford Mustang of Michael Robinson out of Harrington, PEI, 2 Atlantic drivers in the top 10.
Hey, with Darcy Ford out with the birth of his new child, getting some good points for Atlantic Motorsports and Michael Robinson. I know he's been looking for form lately, but it seems like he found it there tonight.
Indeed he has, and we'll just move on to the rest of the field here momentarily. And in 11th place here tonight, as soon as I get it up, a quiet 11th here, but nevertheless, that's where the 14 of Lee Campbell finishes up in his Team Huzzah Ford out of Ballston Spa, New York.
So very good for him in regards to the best of the rest standings. I know he was only a couple points behind Michael Dimitrov, so we'll have to see and tally that out later on, but great finish. I know these guys who are in the best of the rest still have a lot to play for, and as we saw, this was a great race for Lee Campbell.
By the looks of it, Lee Campbell inherits the best of the rest lead as we move to Richmond next week. Another guy in that battle here is the number 10 of Jason Butler, sponsorship from Rampage Coffee Company, Chuck's Roadhouse, and Bangarang Hard Seltzer. He comes home in 12th.
Yeah, and you'll see it. These best of the rest drivers are all finishing all right next to each other. So, great job for Jason Butler keeping up with that very tight best of the rest battle.
I mean, you said it better than I could. Michael Dimitrov finishes 13th, another best of the rest competitor.
And you know what? This is why we have the best of the rest competition, because these drivers are so good and the field is so strong this season. They really just have a lot to play for. And you know what? This is going to be another battle of its own going into the finale at Las Vegas.
Dimitrov finishes 13th. Winston Racing Group teammate Dan Cudmore finishes 14th.
Yeah, and Dan had some pretty good pace there in the car earlier on. He was up into the top 10 from what I saw, but just lost out. Maybe lost out in that pit stop strategy there.
Indeed so, and meanwhile, we kind of saw him driving on his own there for a little bit on track. Not really the result he was looking for, but nevertheless, Ryan Gibson still through to the round of 8.
Yeah, still through to the round of 8. I'm not sure if it was Ryan Gibson
or if it was John Peden who said it a couple weeks ago that here at Talladega it would be important to get that good drafting, those good drafting groups and good pit groups, but it just looks like he lost out on that there tonight.
And speaking of losing out, after being third for part of stage number 3, Michael Wolford falls to 16th and sees his championship hopes come to an end here.
Yeah, maybe kicking himself in the butt there a little bit, but, nevertheless, a great run early on in the race, and that just shows there is pace in that car. It's just getting that consistency down, and I know that's something I'm working on in my own racing, but excellent race pace from Michael Wolford here tonight, and I think it was just in that pit stops. It got a little squirrely there. I saw a few cars going off, but nevertheless, keep it up.
Well, you talk about consistency. Sometimes consistency can be frustrating.
Yeah.
17 starting 17th, 17 finishing 17th. That's where Corbin McCauley ends up.
Yeah, so not into the round of 8, it looks like, for Corbin McCauley. But he had excellent races throughout the season, and with Richmond coming up, he might be the one to watch there.
Again, now he's just kind of driving for pride at this point. Again, having won Richmond and Martinsville, just a little bit unfortunate there for the 17. We'll get into all of the math here and the ramifications in a moment, but we'll just continue through the standings here very quickly. The number 77 of Reggie Kime comes home in 18th. He was another driver who basically needed to win tonight to have a shot.
Yeah, he needed to win, but Reggie has been really improving throughout the season and has had some really good races. Much like Kevin Daigle, I put Reggie up there for some of my best, more improved drivers, along with Andy Hurdle. You can't leave Andy Hurdle out of that picture. But Reggie, he needed that win, but it just didn't come to him.
And indeed not. And the final driver to finish on the lead lap tonight is number 21 of Matthew Patak, the Midwest Elite E-Racing Ford out of Vandalia, Ohio, sponsored by 81 Originals, finishes 19th.
Yeah, and you know what? I saw Matthew Patak going into that pit stop there, and it looked like he just got a little bit loose going into the pits because he kind of swerved right back into the lane. And that may have been what he lost out on there. But he had excellent pace earlier on in the car, too, much like all the other drivers that I've mentioned. But you know what? Got to come back, regroup, and on to the next race at Richmond.
And then the last of the runners to actually complete the race tonight, Jason Lobby finishes one lap down in his North Star Racing Chevy out of Coon Rapids, Minnesota in 20th. And then we get to a few disconnections here that were experienced over the course of the race, beginning with the number 20 Red Dirt Racing Ford of Hunter Young finishing in 21st. Chase Beatty, the previous best of the rest leader, it looks like his internet gremlins may have gotten him toward the end of stage 2 as he finishes 22nd, 36 laps down. They've also gotten the better of tonight's pole sitter, Jonathan Warr, as he finishes 23rd, 54 laps down. And then we saw Trevor Kinsey have his disconnect relatively early in stage number 2 to finish 24th. And then we talked about it off the top. Unfortunate circumstances for the 44 519 E-Racing Ford of Andy Hurdle out of Dayton, Ohio. Never really getting off the track, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't think he got off the line to make the first lap. So, some disappointing luck there for Andy Hurdle. But throughout the season, he was there when he needed to be, and I'm sure if he had tonight back, he would have been there fighting for those places. So, you know what? I wouldn't count him out for any of the rest of the races coming up because there's still a lot of fight left in Andy Hurdle.
Indeed there is, and certainly, again, being out of the championship picture, as you say, it won't stop him from fighting. However, we do have 8 drivers still fighting for the Earl Ross Cup this season, and let's go ahead and meet them here as we move on to the round of 8 beginning next week at the Richmond Raceway for the Hurricanes Academy 200. So that's going to be an interesting event there next Tuesday night beginning around probably 7:40 p.m. Eastern time. But again, we're down to 8 now, and we'll go ahead and let you know who that's going to be, beginning with our series leader, Scott Bailey, with those 6 wins this season. He'll reset somewhere around the 4,060 mark for points, somewhere in that ballpark, just based on what he's earned over the course of the season. In second place, we'll just go through how they finished here in the round of 12, excuse me. So we'll check on Ty Higginbotham here next. Of course, the 2 victories this season. He finishes second in the round of 12, but of course this will all reset beginning next week as well. So for those unaware, they'll reset at 4,000 points plus the playoff points they've accrued over the course of the season. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch here. Again, Higginbotham second following his win at Auto Club. Jose Mercado jumps up to third in those standings through the round of 12 after, again, beginning tonight outside the playoff picture. It has to be remembered, Mercado turning in exactly the performance he needed to when he had to do it. And again, that win puts him through to the round of 8. Joining those 3 are, let me just pull up the old stat sheet here. Of course, we've got the number 53 Cobra Kai Racing Chevy of John Peden in there. A couple of wins for him over the course of the year. Road America in Kentucky. The Pensacola, Florida native. You know he's going to be looking for a Championship 4 spot, and there's going to be some tight racing. He's going to be a guy who's probably going to be there at the end. And now we move along to Mike Marini in the number 12 True North Racing Toyota out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. Round of 8 was where Marini got eliminated last season. He'd love to take that step forward into the Championship 4, which, again, he was halted at this particular point last season, as was the number 9 of Jacob Nelson, the Red Dirt Racing Chevy out of Clarksville, Tennessee. Both round of 8 eliminations, both with another shot at it in Season 2. And then we go now to, again, a couple of relative heavyweights in the series occupying the final 2 spots. The number 23 Cobra Kai Racing Chevy of Ryan Gibson, the defending Earl Ross Cup champion out of Morgantown, West Virginia. He's in with another shot, as is the man who didn't race tonight. He finishes 8th in the round of 12. He grabs that final spot just based on what he did in the first 2 races. 4-time winner this season, the Atlantic Motorsports Ford of Darcy Ford out of Harrington, PEI. And again, congratulations to Darcy on becoming a father here in the last 12 to 14 hours, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm sure it's been a little bit more of a whirlwind for him than we saw on the track here tonight.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure about that. And like they were saying, our 2 drivers at the top of this series right now, Darcy Ford and Scott Bailey, it's going to come right down to the end of it. And once Darcy's back on track next week at Richmond, I'm sure that battle between them will intensify.
And again, that's our round of 8. So we do say goodbye to 4 drivers and their championship hopes tonight. Beginning with the number 17 Red Dirt Racing Chevy of Corbin McCauley. A little bit of a surprise given where he began this round of 12, but just a couple of races that weren't quite up to what he's accustomed to with that 3rd place last week mixed in. Just didn't quite get it done here over the last few races. Finishes 11 points out.
Yeah, and to say the least, but he's had some great form in the season. 2 wins and some tracks coming up that he is good at in Richmond and Martinsville. So I wouldn't count him out for another race win or 2 later on in this playoff race, in the playoff run. Sorry.
And then again, we had the internet gremlins kind of haunt Andy Hurdle at the worst possible time. He finishes 10th in this round, and he ultimately comes out 40 points back of that final spot. But from where Andy Hurdle began the year, I know we've talked about it a lot, Mark, for him to even get to this point, it's been quite an achievement for the 44.
Oh, for sure. A great achievement for Andy Hurdle in his car all season long. And you know what? He's still progressing and learning, and I'm sure he'll be right up there when we come back. He's just going to just keep progressing and keep building up as a driver, and all of this learning right now will make him better.
And 2 guys ultimately finishing both 43 points out of that final spot. It begins with the number 77 Cobra Kai Racing Ford of Reggie Kime out of Muskogee, Oklahoma, another guy that you had pegged as someone who's kind of progressed over the course of the season.
Yeah, much like Andy Hurdle, Reggie Kime has been there. He's delivered on just pure merit. He has a lot of pace in his car, and he's a good driver. Both of these guys are up there. Well, my top two for most improved over the run of the season, and that says a lot about our field.
And so Reggie Kime, the first Cobra Kai driver, eliminated. There's only one Midwest Elite driver remaining in the fight for the championship, as Michael Wolford sees his hopes vanish here tonight as well.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, it was some good pace from Michael Wolford, but just made a mistake where a mistake didn't really need to happen. But you know what? Like I said, for both Reggie and Andy, take it as a learning step and just regroup and come back right into Richmond and, get those gremlins out of the way.
Indeed, certainly some admirable racing, it has to be said, from all four of those drivers who were eliminated tonight. Obviously, some unfortunate circumstances for those four, but again, for the 8 who are still standing, we go to Richmond next week. It all begins again. We're resetting once more.
Yeah, we're resetting once more and into the round of 8. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this all ends up in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that we've only got 3 races remaining before we hit Vegas for that season finale, and remembering how close the Vegas race was at the end last year, man, if that's going to decide the championship, I cannot wait. But first, we got to get through this round of 8, and it's going to be very, very interesting all the way through. Who's going to pick up their spots in the championship 4? Who's going to be left on the outside looking in? For Jose Mercado tonight, he made sure he wasn't on the outside looking in as he gets into the round of 8 with his win. We'll see you at Richmond next week. For the rest of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network team, Dan Cudmore, series founder, Mark Cox, color commentator. This is Jordy Carraher signing off, and we hope to see you again next week as the round of 8 continues and things just keep heating up.